Hey there. I want to do a nice quick review of paraphrasing. You've just done a couple activities with paraphrasing. Paraphrasing, as simply as I can explain it, is just taking what they said and saying it in a way that borrows some of the words they used, but not all of them. You can rearrange it. You can change it. You cannot take the whole thing. That's called stealing. And while they're having you do some harder stuff like citing your sources, they're not making you do super hard stuff. So the paraphrasing part is tricky, but not impossible. So let's just read this, mark it up the way we've practiced, and then decide how we want to paraphrase it. It's called Laws Regarding Mandatory Recess for Schools. Read more at this website. You may remember recess as your favorite part of the school day, a period of unorganized play. I'm underlining that one. When you could get out of the classroom to run, jump, or just hang out with your friends. Today, the emphasis on academic success. This one. And high test scores. Underlining it. Which has led to the decline in recess time. Elementary school recess promotes healthy activity. I can highlight that if I want. Social development. That's what happens when you have recess. You promote that stuff. Improves mental alertness. And I'm only underlining phrases, and I'm only highlighting phrases. That way, when I go back and read it later, it sticks out. It's not everything highlighted or everything underlined. I didn't underline and, or I didn't underline improves. And I want these things that I'm underlining to really stick out to my eyes. Attention span, memory, and behavior. Yet there's no federal mandate to include recess in the school day. No federal mandate. Underline that. To include recess in the school day, and only a few states have incorporated mandatory recess time in their educational laws. That's interesting. So there are states that require schools to give you recess. Interesting. So if I want to borrow this in my paragraph, I need to cite that I did that. We'll just, we can borrow the title at the top. The article titled, and then put a comma. You can put one little quote like that. Laws regarding mandatory recess for schools. And then the comma and a quote like that. Mentions that. Now here's where we paraphrase. We could paraphrase this part down here. Mandatory recess time into their educational laws. A few states. Mentions that we could say some states are now adding laws to require recess time for school-aged students. Now I'll read mine again. According to the article, laws regarding mandatory recess for schools mentions that some states are now adding laws to require recess time for school-age students. Now read where I got it from. Only a few states. So do I want to change that? Only a few states. Some and few. That's enough. That they're similar enough. I'm not making it seem like there's a lot. I'm saying there's some. Have incorporated mandatory recess time into their educational laws. I did borrow recess time, but I said require instead of mandatory. I said for students, and they don't mention students in theirs. So I took this idea that said few states have some laws that make it happen, and now I made it my own sentence. I paraphrased it. We'll do that one more time down here. We want to talk about the benefits that they have that recess has. And we need to cite that we got it from this article. If this is the second article in the list of articles they gave us with the FSA, we can say article number 2 tells that recess is actually very helpful to students. The article goes on to mention that it can, now we want to borrow, promotes healthy activity. Promotes healthy activity. We could say encourages activity that is healthy for young students. Or we can make it all into one idea too. We could do that too. The article goes on to mention that it can encourage all around health. It can result in all around healthy benefits for students. These benefits range from improvements in the body to improvements in the mind and school grades. I've taken the idea, let's go back up here. They talk about behavior, that's kind of like the body and the mind. They talk about memory and attention span, that's the mind, that's also school grades, mental alertness, social development, physical activity. So I've taken it and I summarized it and I put it in my own words. Article number 2 tells that recess is actually very helpful to students. The article goes on to mention that it can result in all around healthy benefits for students. These benefits range, I'm going to take out the S. Proofread. These benefits range from improvements in the body to improvements in the mind and school grades. Good. So that's just 2 examples of paraphrasing. We'll work on that during our sessions, though, hopefully. Good luck.